nature, things of that 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 nature.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into a little bit of Inside Arkansas action with our Pod of That Nature Bowl Game edition, as it's been officially announced here today that the Razorbacks, the 6-6 Razorbacks themselves, will be heading over to Memphis to take on Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. Well, guys, reactions, thoughts.
I mean, I don't know. The Texas Tech thing is cool for me, at least. You know, like I'm good with that. I just like Arkansas just went there. Here's the thing, guys. I'm reevaluating a lot of things in life right now because I'm currently disappointed to not be going to Birmingham in a couple weeks. That's not a way I want to live life. It's just not. And I'm not trying to be negative or take a shot at Memphis or anything like that. But the Liberty Bowl, I just wanted something new. Even if at 6-6, you knew it was going to be kind of probably lame anyway. That's just, you know, it's like average football teams playing average football teams with half their rosters. That's what it is. Could have just been somewhere different or new or cool, but it's the same place that you've been. And now we're going again in December, and then we turn around and go back in September. This was the one that I really was kind of hoping Arkansas would be able to avoid. And lo and behold, here they are.
Yeah. You know, I'm not going to cry and moan too much over this because, you know, all these bowl games are more or less the exact same thing. But to your point, Curtis, like you just kind of wanted something different. And so that's what's disappointing. But yeah, my initial reaction was kind of like y'all's, where obviously just seeing Liberty, it's like a cruel joke where it's like, oh, we just cannot escape Memphis. But I also noticed the Texas Tech aspect of it, of the opponent, because that's another biggie. That's the only, there's only two equations about bowl season: who you play and where you play them. And so looking at the Texas Tech aspect, I was like, okay, maybe that gives Arkansas a better chance to win their bowl game, if that matters to anything. But then I started looking at Texas Tech's schedule, and I'm like, damn, this seems like a team that like plays with a little bit of pride.
They're pretty good.
Shows up for games. Like, I'm like, damn, this might not be you know, a super easy matchup. And who the hell knows? I mean, look, we'll talk about Arkansas's roster and what it might look like in the bowl season leading up to it. Of course, I have no idea what Texas Tech has going on, if they've got mass exodus, if their starters are opting out or whatever that is. I don't think you're getting a Penn State situation where bunch of NFL talent's going to sit this one out. But I'd imagine Texas Tech probably has a little more stability than Arkansas from a roster standpoint, so probably should be the favorite in this matchup. I don't know if that matters. Any of what I'm saying matters to anyone. I will say I am 100% officially not attending Arkansas's bowl game this year, and that wasn't the case this morning. I was kind of looking, like you said, Curtis, looking forward to maybe we go to Birmingham, maybe go to Houston, something like that. No, not going to Memphis.
No, I was hoping, obviously, you want to win more games and you go to better bowl games. Duh, that's what happens. All I was hoping is that if you're going to be very average, which is what Arkansas is at best, that you could be differently average, you know? Just have a new opponent in a new bowl game, against a new conference. But Liberty Bowl, Big 12 opponent, Texas Tech, I feel like I'm playing Clue right now, you know, just like, what all three things go together. That's like, if you would have chalked it up of like, John, what would be the least exciting matchup that you could have in a bowl game after going 6-6? I feel like this one would probably be one that if I heard about, yeah, that's definitely up there. Just doesn't do anything. And yeah, 2 years ago, you played in the Liberty Bowl. And I believe, according to the release, this is your seventh appearance in the Liberty Bowl, dating back to 1971. But just since joining the SEC, you played East Carolina in 2010, Kansas State in 2016, and Kansas in 2022. And here's going to be your. So you're talking about you're playing in this bowl game 4 times in 14 years. Doesn't really excite anybody at all. At least it doesn't excite me. Maybe the solace is that you can take is that you're undefeated there, at least, you know, in the SEC era. But other than that, it's hard to get excited about it, man. It really is. It really is.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, destination is the one thing I think to be excited about with a kind of a 6-6 bowl. But like, I mean, it'll be. I don't know how people on like the other side of the state feel about it because it's just like right down the road. So maybe it's probably easier for them to get to that than it is a game in Fayetteville. So from that standpoint, it's probably good for folks over there. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't move the needle much for me. I'll be more excited as we get closer to it just to see the game. Like I'm fascinated to see what this looks like just from who the heck is going to be playing for Arkansas out there. You know, like what is the roster going to be looking like? You know, I was just kind of doing a brief look at Texas Tech stats, and they've got like a 1,500-yard rusher and a dude that throws for 280 yards a game. Like, you know, what's the defense going to look like? So some new faces and things, like there will be a little bit of intrigue there, but yeah, you know, it's kind of meh.
Yeah, it's very meh. And look, I said my first comments were that I was going to try not to cry and moan too much. And then I immediately started crying and moaning a little too much. So I'm trying not to make it like that. But guys, fan base, I do want to hear from you. Like, what is it that's going to move the needle here? Like, what aspect of this are you really intrigued by? Is it just hey, let's just try and win one more game? That's all that matters. Just try and win a game, and you're all in on that aspect. Is it want to see some young guys compete? If so, I'd like to hear who it is you're excited for. And look, there's definitely some. I mean, Curtis, you mentioned the roster and what Arkansas has going in. I actually was looking at it earlier today. I was kind of putting up like a mock depth chart. It's actually not as bad as I might have really thought. Like initially I was like, oh, Arkansas is going to be, you know, completely depleted in the bowl game. And at receiver, they pretty much are. But even receiver, there's like bodies that you know exist. They're not talented guys, but I mean, like we're talking about Tesla, Broden, Jordan Anthony, CJ Brown, who's played a little bit, Monte Harrison. Like they at least have guys that will go out there. I mean, they're not going to have walk-ons out there at receiver. Offensive line, I mean, I guess Blackstock plays. You know, I mean, so your offensive line, you're not going to have Kudus, but you also didn't have him most of the year. So I'm thinking for offensive line, you're going Carmona, Blackstock, Nichols, Tykees Crawford / Joe Moore, Marion Harris, and there's a few other guys that have played in some games. Josh Street's played in a game. Kobe Branham's played in a game. You know, I mentioned Joe Moore, Brooks Edmondson played in a game. So it's like there's at least guys, but again, I'm reading off a bunch of names that are not going to move the needle for this fan base and be excited to see. So again, that's why I'm calling on the fan base. Who are y'all excited to see play in this bowl game?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I know at some point, hopefully we'll be able to hear from, you know, the athletic department, Sam Pittman at some point. Still have no idea on that as far as the press release goes, but you know, as far as Texas Tech, to give you a little bit of a background, they went 8-4 this season, 6-3 in the Big 12, where they lost in the beginning of the season. Second game of the year, they lost to Washington State as part of their non-conference foe up there in where's Washington State play again? What's the city?
Pullum.
Thank you. Yeah, so lost in Pullum, but they also beat Arizona State, who I don't know if y'all knew this, but they're in the college football playoff. So yeah, beat Arizona State. They also beat Cincinnati, beat Arizona, lost to Baylor, lost to TCU by 1 point, beat Iowa State, lost to Colorado, beat Oklahoma State, beat West Virginia. So, yeah, this is an interesting where I haven't can sit here and say I've watched a lot of Texas Tech football this year, but Texas Tech's got some pretty good wins on their resume. And being 8-4 in the Big 12, you know, I'm wondering if they look at this as almost being like a disappointment for them to be going to the Liberty Bowl. I'm not sure, but they definitely had a pretty well-established, pretty solid season overall, all things considered.
Did they just lose a coordinator to a group of 5 job or something?
Their OC took the job at FAU, which like I've seen a bunch of people saying that they fired both their coordinators. I think they did fire the DC earlier in the year. And then their OC, they did not fire. He took the head coaching job at FAU. So yeah, they do have 2 new coordinators.
I was going to say it looked pretty good offensively. I wouldn't have fired the dude, but yeah.
No, hell no. They averaged like they scored like 40 a game or something like that. But yeah, their OC is now the head coach at FAU, replacing Tom Herman.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
dude, I was looking at it earlier. So I'll be honest with you. When I woke up this morning, I did not know the name of Texas Tech's head football coach. Did y'all? I already forgot his name, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, I'm not trying to do a bit. I'm not trying to be funny. I looked it up earlier and I was looking at his resume. Do y'all know anything about this cat?
No.
I'm not lying.
Apparently just like a high school coach for like 15 years and then randomly took like the tight ends job at Baylor. And then 3 years later, he's the head coach at Texas Tech. He just kind of right place, right time, rose up the ranks, but he's doing a pretty damn good job there. I mean, I think they went 8-4 I think they went like 8-4, 7-5, 8-4, or something like that in that order. which not bad.
He's on that Chad Morris art.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least he's having winning seasons.
That's right.
Yeah. And we're talking about this on December 8th on a Sunday, guys, and 5 days, 2 days. I mean, there could be so many different things that end up changing between now and then, as far as coaches, as far as players, roster, everything. So, what we say today, again, 2 days from now may not even be the same case because of the way things have gone, especially with the portal opening up tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of movement there too. So just something to try to keep up with. It's going to be wild, but the game is going to be on December 27th, Friday. So for those of you who want to do a little night game Friday action, and it's I believe it's 6 p.m. on ESPN. So it's be on the big network there. You can make a whole weekend out of it going down to Memphis post Christmas. A lot of people are going to be making that trip, I'm sure, or at least people in the area will be making that trip. So, yeah.
At least it's not doing the thing this time where it's button up next to the SEC opener for basketball, because that was a wild day.
Yeah. They don't play basketball that day, I'm assuming, the 27th?
They're off from like the 21st to the 30th. And then they play Oakland. Like they don't do SEC play until January. Yeah.
Am I tripping, or was it like New Year's Eve last time? Or maybe the 30th or something like that?
Or New Year's Day. Yeah. I mean, it was
around New Year's. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Hopefully they have running water in the city of Memphis as well. They didn't have that last time. There was a freeze. It was like, 25 degrees. And so like the night before, like the entire city's water got frozen. We were like having lunch at places that didn't serve drinks. They're like, we just can't give you anything to drink. We can give you some food. The bathroom at the press box there the toilet would not flush. So it was hard times the last time I went to Memphis. So I'm hoping that the people that do go have a good time and have a little bit better experience. And it should be, because it's not, like you said, on the same day as a basketball game, New Year's, and no water.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Will more Razorback fans attend this Liberty Bowl game or the game at the Liberty Bowl against Memphis in September?
Memphis in September, 1,000%, right?
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too.
But also, I think there will. I mean, I would imagine Arkansas fans will still travel, just because what else are you going to do?
It's something to do, man. Yeah. It's still college football. Yeah.
And it's right there. Like you said, there's a lot of Razorback fans that are in Little Rock or, in McCrory, wherever, and they're just right over there by Memphis. You might as well,
Yeah. Well, I'll say when I was living in Little Rock in 2022, that is like was one of the perks, is like you could make a day trip out of it if you wanted to. I know it's a night game, but it's like if you really like left as soon as the game ended, you could get home before midnight type of thing. Mm-hmm. So so travel wise, location wise, all of that, it's there. It's just, people already don't feel really great about the season. And then, you get a bowl game, which we knew that they were going to a bowl game. We all kind of felt like this may be the case, that it would be a Liberty Bowl. And everything that's come together has come to fruition. So is there anything from this Liberty Bowl right now, guys, that positive, negative, anything that can be or will be taken from it? Like, just as far as if Arkansas blows them out, is anything going to do that for anybody? If they get blown out, if they have certain players that play, certain players that don't play, like, will anything be actually taken from this bowl game?
I don't think anything about the win-loss result, no matter how close or lopsided it is going to do anything for me. I don't think them, going and beating the hell out of Texas Tech is going to make me all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, they're going to right this ship. Or them getting blown out by Texas Tech is going to make me all of a sudden feel any different type of way about Sam Pittman or anything else. So from that standpoint, no, but I think you nailed it there at the end with the kind of like the individual players, like some of these guys who are going to have to be on the two deep and probably starting and getting a bunch of reps who wouldn't have been in that case otherwise. You can just get an eye on them. And it's kind of like, yes, the extra bowl practices are a good thing. Then they get game reps, and then you have some guys to keep an eye on once you get into spring and wonder if they're going to, develop and kind of be the next guys up. That's it for me, just kind of seeing guys that we haven't been able to see a lot of, and if they can kind of pop. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything translating moving forward, but at least it's an opportunity to see these guys out there. That's about all I got.
Yeah, so I'm contradicting myself a lot on this stream because I started off saying I wasn't going to piss and moan, and I've been pissing and moaning a lot. And I also said that there's only two equations: who you play and where you play. I think that the case for this being a good, notable experience for Arkansas has nothing to do with who they're playing and where they're playing. It's more about the kind of stuff that we knew was going to happen beforehand. You get the bowl practices, you get to go out there and maybe, like you said, some guys that haven't played a ton get to play. Because I actually think that stuff really does matter. Does it matter a huge amount whenever most of your roster is not even with you? Not really. It really doesn't matter what Keon Stewart, who's about to graduate, what he does, what Hudson Clark does, a lot of these guys. And obviously, next year the roster is going to look night and day different. You don't get that time with the transfers that are coming in. But I do think, just going through a quick, there's pretty much guys at every position group who either haven't played or haven't played a ton that this time I think is going to be very important for. I'm going to start with KJ Jackson. I think these bowl practices, he's going to be the number 2 quarterback. Obviously he might not play in the game itself, but he's one snap away from doing that. I'm not saying you want anything like that to happen, but I do think these bowl practices of getting those number 2 reps at quarterback matter. Will Braylon Russell be on the roster? We'll see. But if he is, this would be a very prime time to maybe get him that work as the number 1 back. Rodney Hill, is going to be back next year. CJ Brown is a guy that they wanted to get going this year, and it just was disastrous.
Jordan Anthony's number 1.
Yeah, Jordan Anthony's number 1. Get him some reps, get him some experience. And on the offensive line, I don't think you're going to have any young guys really playing there. Maybe a Charlie Collins gets in there at defensive line or something like that. In the defensive secondary, I think there's a few guys that you can make a case for. Tevis Metcalf, Selman Bridges. By the way, Miguel Mitchell played his 4 games, and they redshirted him. I think he can play in this game. So Arkansas is going to have a reserve safety, maybe Switzer, one of those guys. Akari Johnson is another freshman. Jaden Allen. These are guys that they say they like, and we hear their names here and there, but we haven't seen them yet. I think these bowl practices is a good chance for those guys to kind of rise up the depth chart. You'd like to see them maybe get a crack. What was that kid, Jalen Lewis? You remember when he played in the Liberty Bowl last time? He played like 12 snaps, and then he was like, hope that shut up the haters or something like that on Twitter the next day. And It was like one of those funny things. You can get a little bit of that. And look, this kind of stuff that I'm saying it's not going to move the needle for Arkansas in terms of wins and losses next year. But some of these guys you would like to retain. Some of these guys will actually be on your roster. It might only help you 1%, but if you're going to do this experience, you might as well make the most of it.
Yeah. If it doesn't matter to you about, like, if you're pissed off about the season, you don't care about the result or whatever, and you're looking for a reason to watch, that would be it. Just to see some new faces and new places out there and look at how they do. I wonder, this doesn't happen often, but is there any risk involved? You're thinking about all these guys that you have to replace now in the portal, and then you've got like a finite number at this point of studs that you're going to have to really rely on next year. How much do you play them in this game? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying sit Taylon Green or whatever, but are you really going to run him that much and just risk anything there? I know there's a long time between the end of this season and next, but like, you need him for spring. And I don't know. Like, with the landscape changing with the bowls as much as it is, and people just getting gutted by the portal, it makes you wonder if you have dudes who are coming back and are just so key to your operation next season, like, if you don't care about this, why even mess with it?
If I can offer just a very quick counter, it would be that most of the guys who you'd say are dudes, like Xavier Sorey, Taylon Green, Cam Ball, like there's a few of those guys, but most of the guys that you would want to play for you next year haven't played honestly enough this year, like a Braylon Russell, to where like you're like, we don't need to see them. Whereas like a lot of these guys, younger ones, it's like they really just need some experience. Not like Taylon Green or Xavier Sorey or Cam Ball need experience, but like
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so those guys I could kind of see the case for. Like, yeah, maybe Xavier Sorey doesn't need to be cracking heads too much or anything. But
playing 80 snaps.
I just think it's like, what else are they going to do though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be healthy next season, so you don't have to go spend a $1.5 million on somebody else.
Dominic Johnson, didn't he tear his ACL in the Outback Bowl?
Maybe so.
I think it was, and then he obviously retore it later. I'm pretty sure he got hurt in that Outback Bowl.
I think you're right. Because I also think I remember Rocket Sanders got hurt in the Liberty Bowl a couple years ago. It didn't take him out for a long time, but I remember he ended up being in street clothes after the game. So that's the deal where you got to find a fine balance of this. But here's the thing: if you're Sam Pittman and if you're Arkansas, I think you're just going to roll out the guys that can play. And, if you're blowing them out or if you're getting blown out, then you take them out. Like you're going to still play football. You're still going to coach football. You're still going to have a game to play. So I think that's probably what they end up doing. But I do believe, and I do agree that be cautious, be very careful, be very selective.
Just don't run Talon 18 times against Texas Tech, that's all.
But you got to play him, because if Talon doesn't throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game, how are we going to hype him up as a Heisman contender in fall camp? We'll be able to cite this Memphis Liberty Bowl and be like, the way he was slinging that pill in Memphis, man. I don't know, dude. And then whenever Arkansas plays Missouri, we can be like, he already knows the lay of the land. He knows the sidelines. He knows the visuals he needs. It's just mental reps for Memphis next year. That's what Taylor Green's getting here.
All right.
Yep. Let's go to the chat. A few people who are chiming in here. Appreciate your super chats, like from Angel here. Appreciate it, man. Says, we know of some targets in the portal. I'd like to know what you guys think of those targets. Well, I mean, I think that we're probably going to use that to talk about through the week, especially once the portal is officially open. We'll get to that. We'll use this to more of the bowl conversation and stuff. But yeah, we'll put a pin in that, and we'll definitely get to that this week, no doubt.
Yeah, they're getting ready to get someone who catches passes and someone who can prevent people from catching passes.
Yes.
Like probably within the next week. So
yeah, the DB's on campus tomorrow, right? The JUCO guy?
I think so.
I think it's tomorrow's his official visit.
Yeah, and then the Fresno
11,
State
you got
kids at
Sharp.
11. Yeah.
So I mean, look, I know those might not like really excite everybody.
It's a start.
But yeah, I mean, you might as well go ahead and get them again. Like, you don't really get to be picky if you're Arkansas. So if you love Mountain West wide receivers, or FCS turned Mountain West wide receivers and JUCO defensive backs, we've got great news for you this week.
Also, this comes from him. It's a listener. He says, neighbors, what bowl game were you expecting? I also got some other guy like just angry at me on Twitter he's calling me a loser because I didn't want to go to the Liberty Bowl and I'd rather go to Birmingham. Here's my point, folks. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that Arkansas deserved anything better. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I'm looking at it from a selfish perspective. I just wanted something different. Like, it's not that I feel like, going to Birmingham is going to help the program. Going to Birmingham is going to give you all the recruiting there. No, it has nothing to do with that. It was just me selfishly just wanting something different. That's all. That's all it was about. So
100%, man. Yeah, and I feel the exact same way about that. Yeah, I'm not upset that Arkansas is not going to the damn college football playoff or whatever. Yeah. Nobody expected that, but like, if it's kind of a downer of a season for the bowl, it's like, okay, you just want to go somewhere cool and different, and they're not doing that. And so from that standpoint, like I said earlier, it's weird that I'm disappointed that they're not going to Birmingham, but they just haven't played in that bowl, I don't think, or at least I haven't been there. So, like, that would have been just something a little bit different. That's all.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of people that took our like minor disappointment as a like sign that we hate Memphis and love Birmingham, or that we
more,
or wanted to make fans drive, or it was like something else. It was literally just a very minor, like, would have been nice to not go to the same bowl for the 4th time in 14 years. But I would also just like to clarify that, like, we're not really like that upset.
No,
it's not like we were going to be thrilled no matter where they went. Like, nobody was going to be coming away from today and be like, yes, Gasparilla. We were never going to be like, this was never going to be a celebratory scream. We're just mildly reacting to what happened on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Just trying to take whatever you can get. And if there was any sort of glimmer of hope for selfish reasons of why something could happen, I mean, that's all it was.
Dude, people really are they were pissed at even the thought of maybe going to the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah.
People are really, y'all think
I get it.
People, imagine if they gone to the Birmingham Bowl, the chat would have freaking risen against us. Jeez.
Oh, they would have been real mad, because I would have been like, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm kind of looking forward to this trip.
Yeah,
they would have been mad at us for sunshine pumping, for being like, hey, Liberty Bowl or Birmingham Bowl's not that bad. They'd be like, screw you.
Haynes King, you get to play against Haynes King. He should have been your quarterback. Now you get to face him.
There you go.
Now, I think Texas Tech actually might beat Arkansas, just based on the very limited information we have so far. They seem like a team that has a little bit more stability, and they're going to care more about this game. Georgia Tech would have beaten Arkansas like 42-3. They would have smacked Arkansas. And look, there's no real shame in that. They almost beat Georgia last week, who might win the whole freaking thing. And by the way, Texas Tech, I think a lot of people have pointed out that they beat Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
They also beat Iowa State
too. Yeah.
Who damn near made the playoff. Like they've had some some notable wins, but they've also had some weird performances. They also played Colorado, I feel like very tough. They beat Oklahoma State, who Arkansas obviously did not beat. But then they also, like week 1, tried to lose to Abilene Christian. By the way, I'm starting to realize why they fired their DC. They were in some damn shootouts this year. But yeah, Texas Tech seems to be a just any given week, you never really know what to expect from them. So I won't be surprised if Arkansas does beat them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too, because again, there's a lot of history and tradition that'll get talked about, and I don't know who's playing in the bowl game for them either. So I'm just looking at their roster, but they did have a guy in Morton that threw for over 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, only 8 picks, and they also had a guy named Taj Brooks who ran for over 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns. So yeah, they got some playmakers. Oh, and also a 1,000-yard wide receiver, and Josh Kelly. So yeah, they got plenty
Michael
of
Crabtree.
What's that?
Did you say Michael Crabtree?
I wish that would be some fun to watch. But
well, hopefully Arkansas's 1,000-yard running back will play in this game, and like he probably should, right? Jaquina Jackson. I mean, not that he's not quite 1,000-yard rusher. He should play just to get 1,000.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It depends on what his plan is. I mean, is he coming?
I mean, I hope he
year?
does.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, here's my thing: is he for sure getting drafted? I don't know if he is.
I don't know that he
For
is.
sure.
But so I think if you're him, it's like, dude, go out there and ball out, get 140 yards on the, catch 4 passes or something like that. You remember in Alex Collins's junior year, they let him return kickoffs in the Liberty Bowl because they were like, just show some NFL teams what you got going on. I think that Jaquina Jackson should be looking at it from that standpoint of like, let me go out there and like really play well. Don't get hurt, obviously, but like see if you can make a statement that gets you into that maybe surefire draft pick status. And yeah, I saw someone that was like saying that Andrew Armstrong led the SEC in receiving because we were like raving about Texas Tech's guy. Andrew Armstrong's not playing in the game.
No.
So
No.
all their guys will play. We'll see.
I know, like it's one thing for guys who declare for the draft or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm not playing in the bowl. What about the guys who are out of eligibility? Like Eric Gregory? Is he just done?
I was thinking about that because he posted an announcement like declaring for the draft, which like kind of makes you think maybe he's not going to play. But Keevy Rose should play in the bowl game. Jaden Johnson should play in the bowl game.
Right.
Yeah. I see.
What's Keon Stewart going to do?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, I wish, we the way that the transfer portal's gone here lately, I'm never going to feel good or have a gut instinct about anybody doing one thing or the other. Like, it's kind of all over the place. I did want to bring this chat up real quick, as Gary says, do they call the deconstructed portion the Liberty Hole? And here's why, folks. Yeah, this is going on right now. That's what it looks like right now. So for those of you going to be making the trip, you're going to have maybe kicking field goals through that, maybe going side to side. But yeah, that's what you're going to be seeing once you get there. So some of you may be pretty shocked, but it does look a little bit different from the last time that you guys went there.
That's kind of crazy. I knew that they were doing a bunch of work there, and that was part of the discussion. I guess they were at least flirting with the idea of flipping the Memphis game next year and having that one at Arkansas and then doing it at Memphis whenever the run back was going to be, because of all that construction. They didn't know how many fans they were going to fit in there. I thought maybe that was starting in the off season. I didn't know they were doing that now.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah. And then a few other chats here. Kingsley comes in, says, can't say nothing matters, man. It's really about how much of it matters. Fans and media understandably disappointed, but stuff still matters for the future. And yeah, I mean, that's what we've been saying is it's not that Arkansas should say no to a bowl game and they should not take the money. Like, no, it's not that. It's a matter of, you look at it from a fan's perspective, or from, if you're somebody who's going to go to the games or whatever. Yeah, it's a disappointing season. It's not like you were expecting to get something better than this, but it's just more about, you got to take advantage of it. You're still going to go, as in the team's going to go. The team's going to go. Players are going to go. They're going to have practices. They're going to develop. They're going to do all of this stuff. So yes, it is important, and that's good. That's a good thing about the bowl game. But I guess since it's the 27th, it's actually kind of later than what a few of these other bowl games would be too.
John, that actually, I saw another comment in here. It was this one, and it says extra bowl practices didn't help last time, ended up going 4-8 the next season. So this is that combined with Kingsley's comment, which I agree with. I really want to make this clear. it's not that I'm saying Arkansas is in bad shape as a program now and they can become in good shape by playing in the Liberty Bowl and getting these guys help. I'm not saying that at all. It's just one of a billion things that are going to happen this offseason. But to Kingsley's point, it's like, I mean, say that Selman Bridges plays in this game and plays 60 snaps and gets his first interception and, looks awesome. That would help. That would be a positive thing. Would it change Arkansas's outlook for their defensive back room? A little bit, but not really. But it would really just, you'd feel better about Selman if you going into next year. Minor wins is what you can get in this situation. You can also get minor losses. I mean, there's obviously injuries and guys can go out there and suck or whatever. But it's like, I think if you're Arkansas, you just have to try and make the most of the situation. We're not trying to make the case that this is going to be something that turns Arkansas around and it's going to be why they are good next year. Just like playing in the Liberty Bowl last year didn't make the 2023 Arkansas team good. It also didn't make them bad. I think there's correlation is not always causation, but I do think there's something you can take from this if you want to take something from it.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt to have more practices and to get more development and more reps. Like that's not something that's going to hurt you.
Famously doesn't help college players experience.
Yes, for sure. And here's the thing too, and I don't know if this actually means anything to anybody else, but the motivation, you should always go out there and win, but there should be a motivation in this game too, to where if you win, you have a winning season. If you lose, you have a losing season. And I know it's just very split down the middle, but that's kind of what it is, where you can, no one's going to say, oh, man, we went 6-6. That was great. But there's always a difference in saying, hey, we had a winning season last year compared to, hey, we had a losing season last year. And that's what this game is going to make a difference in. If you go 7-6 or 6-7.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's being on the winning side of that's better than the alternative.
Yes.
10 times out of 10, man. So you take it.
Me personally, that's what I would do in this situation. I would just
win.
Play in the game and play well and win. That's what I would do. But I don't know. We'll see what the Hogs do.
Maybe they have a different game plan in place. We'll see.
You know what sucks about this is part of me, and I was getting ready to say it, and then I stopped myself because you get these practices and your depth chart is depleted or whatever. And so you're going to, like you were talking about, Andrew, you get to see these guys get a bunch of reps, just get a better look at them than you have. And then if they pop in the bowl game, it doesn't mean you're all set for next season or whatever, but it can help you, maybe kind of make some decisions on, okay, maybe we feel like we can get by here, and looking at this guy and saying, all right, maybe he could be a dude who could be in the 2 deep and I can allocate some more funds elsewhere to a greater need. It can kind of help you make those decisions. The problem is the transfer portal is going to be damn near done by the time you get to the bowl game anyway. So you can't even do that.
I mean, for example, Curtis, right as it stands right now, would you say Arkansas probably needs to go out and get one transfer linebacker?
Right now, yeah, probably. Unless, and I know what you're going to say.
Bradley Shaw comes out, plays 50 snaps, has a 1.5 tackles for loss, clearly, and then they're in the bowl practices. Well, I tell you, Bradley Shaw really came on, and just one of those things. This comment is cracking me up, though, y'all. Ty Washington looked great in the Liberty Bowl, ... and got kicked off the team. Would note that there were 2 years in between those two things that happened. But again, it just, if for instance, if Arkansas plays Shamar Easter and he catches a touchdown, just like Ty Washington, it doesn't mean Shamar Easter is now going to win the Mackey, but it also doesn't mean he's going to get kicked off the team. We can just take a win for what it is. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to have a great career, but it would be nice to get Shamar Easter some experience. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah. Well, and it's also this where we've heard, and I know this is kind of crazy because we've heard a lot of things that didn't end up being true, but we've heard from Sam Pittman himself. He's like, going to a bowl game means a lot to these two of the players. Mm-hmm. We heard it from even some media that said that, hey, bowl game is very important to these players. Okay. So let's see. Mm-hmm. Let's see how important it is to you when you go out there on the field. Is it important to you? Is it important where you go out and you want to play hard? You want to win? You put in all your efforts? And I'm not talking about players that are opting out or going to be in the portal, whatever. I'm talking about, hey, these are the guys you're rolling out on the field. Are they going to be excited to be there and putting in the work and wanting to play? Because if we hear all about how much they wanted and how much a bowl game meant to them, and they go out there and they look like they would rather be 10 million other places than playing in the Liberty Bowl, then that's going to add another piece of the disaster feeling that a lot of Razorback fans are having right now. So they got to go out there and they actually got to put it in and put in the work and get after it. They have to do that. See a few other comments here, folks. Appreciate everybody pulling up. Be sure to leave a like on the video. Cajun saying, hey, will Pitt be coaching the bowl game?
I assume so.
I would assume so, but I will say the longer they go without letting us talk to him, he makes it a little bit in question. But yeah, there's 3 weeks still before the game, so I would imagine he'll be up and walking around at practice soon, and then they'll go from there.
Yeah. Also, Robert says, if we got a player that we ain't really seen and he does really well in the bowl game, then everyone's going to be like, where was he all season? That's
the other part of the conversation we've been having. Yeah. Instead of like, oh, cool, maybe this guy can help moving forward. It's like, his coaches are idiots. Why weren't they playing him anyway?
Yeah. We call that TJ Hammondsing it. But also, I've also seen some people being like, if someone plays well in the bowl game, someone's just going to poach them. Like they'll just transfer and get a bag somewhere. Like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that could happen as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of different things that could happen there. But yeah, we'll see what this week holds as far as availability and if we'll get to hear from Pittman or anything like that. But still,
we should. I understand the circumstances around it, with the surgery and everything. And again, like they said, that it went great and that, maybe he didn't feel up to it the day after or whatever doing a presser, but that he was moving around okay and in the office and stuff. And so obviously goes without saying, hope he's doing well and everything. Yeah. But it is surprising to me that we haven't had anything yet. I mean, it's pretty standard practice when, a team is announced to be going to a bowl that there's a media availability. We've always had that the day of, and at least as of 4:09 p.m. here on Sunday, we don't have any indication of that now. Maybe they'll just do it in the normal Monday at noon window tomorrow. But again, like we don't have anything about that just yet. So yeah, I mean, the sooner we get to talk to him, the better, because I know there's a hell of a lot of questions that need to be asked and people want to hear answers to.
I mean, we also talked about it a few times. They did like the Liberty Bowl themselves did like a coach's phone call teleconference thing. Yep. I'd settle for that too. Just hear Pitt's voice, hear a quick, we're excited to be at the Liberty Bowl. Great opportunity for our program. Like I'll settle for that if we can get that. But yeah, that's now two historically like relevant, like media availabilities that happen. National Signing Day, bold declaration. We almost always get immediate. So that's now two that have not happened. And obviously there's a surgery, but I mean, like the surgery was on Tuesday. We're now coming up on a week of that. So it's like, you'd think after a week, you'd probably start to hear from him a little bit.
Yep. And also, there's another chat that I was going to be. Oh yeah. This coming from Vincent. He said, man, at least the opponent's selection and matchup is good. Should be a good game that we could or should win. Going to the Liberty Bowl is a little bit lame, but I'm trying to be optimistic. I mean, yeah, that's what's kind of fun about the fun aspect of bowl games in general. I'm not saying just this Arkansas game, but bowl games in general now is chaos. Like no one knows. I wouldn't with Bet Saracen. I'm not going to put any money down on any of these things because you never know what the crap's going to happen. I mean, look at that Kansas game 2 years ago. That was insanity. What happened in that game? So you never know what to expect.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And yeah, I'm kind of I share the sentiment there for sure of location, lame opponent, and I know I was big on the just don't give me I don't want to run back the old Southwest Conference rivalry. If I had to pick one though, Texas Tech would probably be it. I don't know. It just feels a little bit different to me. Like it's usually a fun style of football and everything. Like it'll probably be a decent watch. So yeah. I'm at least semi intrigued with the opponent part of it.
I would have thrown in Baylor is one of those options. I'm not saying I'd be excited about Baylor, but Arkansas hasn't played Baylor in football, I don't think, since leaving the Southwest Conference.
The Mateos Bowl?
Yeah, the Mateos Bowl. Yeah, that's exactly throwing it back. Too bad Gary Bohannon or whatever his name is no longer on the Baylor Bears, but still, that'll at least be. Yeah, it wouldn't be, whoa, this is crazy, but new because 10 years ago, roughly, you played Texas Tech and beat the brakes off of them in Lubbock, and then Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you guys heard of him. He came into Fayetteville and beat you. So you've at least seen it a little bit of it, but. We'll see. Or Camo Hawk says the Snacks Bowl. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good.
Keatron Jackson Bowl too.
Yeah. Keatron. Did Keatron go to Baylor?
Oh, he did. From Arkansas. Yeah. It's also the Al Walcott Bowl to those who celebrate. Not sure what your religion is, but
Yeah. Just all the connections there with Arkansas and Baylor could have happened, but no, you get Arkansas and Texas Tech. Again, just a few things real quick, because I know this week, especially tomorrow on Inside Arkansas Live, we'll talk more about the college football playoffs. We're going to kind of let that simmer and get to that tomorrow. But any other SEC bowl games of note, guys, that you're interested in? We got announced? Anything like that?
I thought it was interesting that the Citrus Bowl, because the way it works is they see who gets in the college football playoff from the SEC, and then the Citrus Bowl gets the next best, like they get their pick, they get first choice, and they took South Carolina over Alabama or, whoever else. I thought that was interesting. And so that South Carolina versus Illinois game, that's kind of cool. I don't understand, or I just don't like how do you feel about the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl?
Nope.
There's just two things that don't go well together,
Those used to be two separate bowls, right?
Yeah.
I think
That's
so.
like being like the Sugar Rose Bowl. Like,
Yeah,
we don't need that.
Right. Exactly. And so, and then looking at the rest of them. And so like after the Citrus Bowl picks, there's that group of 6 is kind of how it works, where all the bowls are kind of thought of the same and they just kind of, pick and choose between the rest of them. And it's the Texas Bowl, the Gator Bowl, ReliaQuest, Vegas Bowl, Music City, and Liberty. And so somebody said, you got to do better than 6 and 6 to get to a better destination. Not really. No, you don't. Like, you could have gone to the Vegas Bowl, but you didn't. You could have gone to even a lower bowl like the Gasparilla down in Tampa. You could have gone to that, and at least it's Florida in December, but you didn't. No, like you're back in Memphis. So there are, like, it's not any more prestigious or whatever, but there would have been some different places they could have gone. At least it would have been, I don't know, cooler.
You know what hurt was seeing that Missouri is going to the Music City Bowl in Nashville. Because, like, when you think of, like, having to travel to a bowl game, Nashville is, I would say, like, top 4 in terms of just cities of, like, places. I mean, especially for us, like, not a far drive. I haven't been to Nashville in, like, 15 years. It'd be just cool to go. That's a nice little situation there. So you got to see the exact repercussion of losing your game. There's another thing I noticed, Curtis, when you're talking about kind of how they pick these bowls and stuff. We all said that, like, there's going to be one SEC team that gets assigned to a, like, non-SEC bowl, basically.
Yep.
I kind of, in my brain, really thought it would be Vanderbilt or Arkansas, frankly. That would be that team. And obviously, if Arkansas had beat Missouri, Missouri would have been that team. You know who it ended up being? Oklahoma is playing Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas. The Oklahoma is playing a bowl game in TCU's football stadium.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. But that would actually, Slick wouldn't have been a bad destination. One, because you get a month to prepare for the triple option. So you'd imagine, like, okay, be pretty. You can have a Travis Williams, if he can come up with a 3-man front in 1 week to beat Tennessee, he should be able to come up with a look for the option. But also, like, going to a stadium you've been to before, Dallas, not a far drive, would have been kind of fun.
Yeah, and also, one thing that you got to consider is the idea that, if Alabama made the college football playoff, then that would have shifted all the bowl games in the SEC. Well, they didn't make the playoff.
Yep.
So, if they would have made a playoff, you could have seen Arkansas, maybe probably not, but they could have seen them maybe in a different bowl, like all the SEC teams in a different bowl. So, yeah, a lot of things had to happen there to change that up. But still, yeah, there's going to be bowl games are fun. Shout out, by the way, also to Arkansas State playing in the 68 Ventures Bowl against Bowling Green over there in Mobile. So shout out to the other school in the state.
Yeah, they can be fun.
Yeah. Well, Texas A&M and USC, which I was like, USC went 6 and 6. Did not realize they were that bad this year. So
yeah,
it's pretty rough. Pretty rough.
It is rough.
Best thing to do in Memphis is barbecue. I feel like the barbecue.
That's your thing. It's like, it's a different style,
Yeah.
I will say, of all the barbecue places that claim to be the barbecue capital of the world, I feel like Memphis is the worst. Really? That's only like a selection of like 3 places, like Austin, Kansas City, and Memphis. I would just rank Memphis 3rd in that group. I haven't been to North Carolina, because there's a place in North Carolina that claims to be like the barbecue capital of the world, right?
Don't they do like the vinegar or the mustard base or whatever? It's like a sauce thing.
Yeah. Which I kind of like, but it's not my favorite. But yeah, I think over in Memphis, I've been to Central Barbecue. I've been to what's the one, Rendezvous?
Rendezvous.
Yeah, I've been to Rendezvous.
But the food's not that great.
Which one?
Rendezvous.
Yeah, I was not going to say that. I was not impressed.
Yeah, I like the vibe, but
you got to give it to Rendezvous. If you want to pay $56 for like some dry ass, mediocre ribs, that'll do. That's where you should go. They can do that.
Yeah, and there's another barbecue place I feel like that's over there, like that's really famous in Memphis. like that's on the same level as Rendezvous. Maybe I'm thinking of something different, but I've stopped at all like most of them. Isn't there it's not barbecue, is it Gus's that everyone talks about that's over there too? Is that what it's called? Chicken or something?
Yeah, hot chicken.
Yeah. So
I think I might get Central Barbecue for dinner tonight here in Fayetteville just to celebrate the bowl.
I went to that little South Yard place twice this weekend. I went to Taco and Tamale on Friday, and then Saturday before the game, I went to Meteor. So you can go ahead and complete the trifecta.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. So, which was your favorite Liberty Bowl that Arkansas played in?
So weirdly enough, my favorite was the one I didn't attend, which was 2015. Alex Collins ran for like 200 yards, played really well. It was just like a fun, clean win. I actually did have a good time at the 2010 one, which was the 2009 season, of course. It was like January 2nd, where they beat ECU. That was one of the coldest I have ever been. I think I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. That was the coldest I've ever been. We had those like little hand warmer like packets, and they were like already ran out of juice like before kickoff. So it was very cold.
Yeah.
I mean this sincerely. It was weird and stupid, but the Kansas game was
a great game,
entertaining. I mean,
was it like triple overtime or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
He had a bunch of controversial calls. There was a weird fumble. There was the Quincy McAdoo gets ejected. KJ, by the way, I know everybody doesn't like KJ anymore, but like an iconic KJ game. He had like 480 yards of offense and like 8 touchdowns or something stupid like that. Him and Jalen Daniels went at it in that game. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and what was crazy is Arkansas. If I'm reading the statistics right, going into the fourth quarter, Arkansas was up 38-20, and Kansas scored 18 points in the fourth quarter. Arkansas scored 0. So, like, talking about almost a crazy comeback from that. And KJ ran for 130 yards. Rashad Dabinian had 100 yards. AJ Green had basically 100 yards. He had 99. And Matt Landers had 121 receiving yards. He was big in that because he was one of the players that actually played. And that was fun. That was a fun one. Just as far as if you like the game itself and the back and forth, Jalen Daniels had 544 passing yards. I forgot all about that.
He had like 300 in the fourth quarter or something stupid like that. Like there was like a point halfway through the game where he wasn't having that great of a game, and then he just started racking up yardage.
Sheesh. So we'll say though, almost every game Arkansas in this game since 2010 is undefeated, and almost all of them, or 2 of them, as I guess, have gone to overtime. But all of them have been pretty good games for the most part. So
that was Michael Scherer's DC debut, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it was.
That's right.
He ended up just following Barry. So like Barry left and Scheer stayed behind to run the defense, and then was like, "All right, now that I'm done here, I'll go ahead and go."
So didn't Jackson Woodard have like a good game for Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl too?
Him and Pooh Paul were the starting linebackers, if my memory serves me correctly.
Crazy.
There was another Jordan Crook made one decent play. And I remember being like, hey, building for the future. Look at him. And now Jordan Crook is number 4 in the country. He's playing in the playoff. So
that's awesome, man.
Clearly I was right
for him.
Yeah. That's it's so wild to think about, like a journey that must be like where you were. What?
Media advisory. The Autozone Liberty Bowl will be hosting a media conference call tonight at 6 p.m. Oh, it's like it's a teleconference on Zoom. You can call in. I might not do that. I do want to hear from him, but
dude, this is the one I reference all the time. It was this exact conference call where he was like, I'm walking into a recruits right now, and I got that boy Barry Odom right next to me. And then like a day later, he was the UN. Which, by the way, congratulations, Barry Odom. You're going to Purdue.
Yeah.
You are a Boilermaker.
Yes.
Is he taking his boys with him? Marion and
Garrett
here?
I mean, I would assume
his coordinators, but yeah.
I thought you meant his child, his literal boy, his baby boy.
That too.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume.
I bet he doesn't take Marion, but I bet he does take Scheer. I bet Marion is going to be like the offensive coordinator at like FSU or something.
Yeah, I could see that. No, but for real though, like Barry Odom, congrats to him, man. He's a great dude, and being at UNLV, and I know that they're disappointed in the loss there in the title game again. But hey, yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. But man, that is a tough place to win. I know a lot of places are, but that Purdue, It's just a tough spot. It's a really tough spot at times. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think he's going to do a decent job there. I mean, Purdue should be better. Purdue should be a regular 6-6 team that occasionally beats Ohio State and ruins their season. That's what they should be.
Up until this year, they've been good for that. Like once a year, just kind of beating somebody they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Odom just can't stay away from that black and gold, man.
Loves it. He loves it too much, man. Yeah, and also as Jeff brings out, Dowell Loggins going over to App State.
How about that?
Speaking of Arkansas related coaches going to black and gold schools.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, and at it. So I want y'all start this one, but what do you think the line will be coming out for the game? I bet you Arkansas is a 4.5-point dog. I'm calling.
I was going to say 6.5. That might be a little lofty though.
So I'm going lower. I think it's going to be like 2.5, 3 in favor of Texas Tech. Like I think it's one of those like Arkansas will be an underdog, but I don't know if Texas Tech's going to get that much. I don't know. But I also have not looked at anything. I don't know what Texas Tech has typically been getting from Vegas. But I feel like they've been covering a lot as like a big dog.
Yeah, that would make sense. I would think so.
Not covering a lot.
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's crazy. I know if you look at like national sites and whatever, some of them already have odds out for bowl games and whatnot, but it's like I can't get to that point just yet where I'm all in, jumping in there and being like, oh man, can't wait to see. Oh wait, hold on, they may actually have Bet Saracen. I think has bowl games. Let's see. Hold on, got to go through it. Let's see if they have Arkansas's up yet. Okay, they do not. They have a few other ones, but not the Arkansas game.
I bet they have playoff games, don't they?
They have playoff games. They have the one with South Florida and San Jose State, Buffalo and Liberty. They have Georgia Southern, Sam Houston State, Western Kentucky. Like they have some of those, but just not the Arkansas one yet. So
well, I'll go ahead and say this though: whatever the line opens at, is going to be completely different. Like it's going to end because there's just a billion different variables of like where it could end up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
What if Taylor Green enters the portal? Yeah. All of a sudden the line moves 4 points. Or what if? So there's a lot of things that could change.
Yeah, or Petrino like leaves, or whatever. Yeah, lots of things could happen. So
I think he'll be in the mix at UNLV. He was once a coach there. For a couple of days.
Just saying.
Kurt, he might feel like he owes him something.
Yeah.
So I agreed to be a coach at your school. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be a coach at your school.
Well, he does love returning to places he was a coach once. So this would be just the fourth one, I think.
He should play all the same hits.
Yeah.
I just really felt like I needed to make things right here at UNLV.
I didn't mean to open up that can. I just was thinking out loud.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was a great. That's why we pay you the big bucks for a thought-provoking conversation. That's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, shout out. I see Unbiased Prim said, I was going to say too. Yeah, Arkansas State's beating Memphis 42-29 at halftime in basketball. So
good.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Arkansas State wins that game. They'll have a better win on their resume than Arkansas.
Yeah, no. Arkansas State basketball, man, they're good. Like not actually like, gonna win the title good, but like gonna be like a team that you don't want to face.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want Arkansas to play them right this very moment.
Ooh.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right. Guys, any final thoughts before we wrap up with our bowl stream, Arkansas Liberty Bowl?
No, nothing. I don't think anything that I haven't already said. I think I'm good. Interested to see what Pittman says. This thing at 6:00 there's not going to be much to it. He'll just be asked a handful of questions about the game itself, but hopefully we hear from him in a more intimate setting with the local media here soon.
Hopefully so.
I do. It will be nice to hear his voice and just get a couple quick thoughts, even though he's not going to say a ton, like you said. I also had a random memory enter my brain of when he did the Liberty Bowl. No, not the Liberty Bowl. The Outback Bowl Zoom. Ty Richardson asked Pittman about Jaden Hazelwood, who had just committed, but like obviously he hadn't signed, and so Pittman was just like, I don't think I can comment on that. And like you put him in a really tough spot. But I do actually have one final thought, John. Can I just get a little can I get a little sensitive for you guys for a second?
Sure.
When I think about bowls, there is something to be said. And again, it's not like a program changer, but there's like 1% of that last trip with your boys, that going on a trip. Curtis, I know you've been on a ton of road trips. You stayed in a lot of hotels with your buddies playing basketball over the year or just coaching or whatever. Those actually are like very fun. Like some of the best memories of my life were like traveling and like staying in a hotel and like sneaking out and going to play in the pool or whatever, like with my boys in high school. And so I do think like bowl season, that's like, there's a human aspect to it. A lot of these guys, obviously, they would probably rather be somewhere cooler or like playing in a cooler game, but it's like, that's where I do think like not making a bowl, what does it actually mean? You don't get to do this. You don't get to get a bunch of gear. You don't get to get a bunch of presents. They hand out like hats at the hotel when you arrive. You know, Arkansas earned not much this year. They did earn that. And you got
one last road trip with the boys is why I want him to go to Birmingham so we could do this together, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't get it. Exactly.
No, but you're right. And that's one thing we said when they got bowl eligibility and everybody was like, oh, great. Throw them a parade or whatever. One of the biggest things about it for me was the dudes who are going to go to the NFL and, you know, like their careers are probably over when it comes to football now. They get another month and they get one more game, and that's cool. So happy for him from that standpoint for sure.
Jaden Johnson literally just played his 4 seasons of college football. Was pretty solid. Probably isn't going to play football after this, but this is what he gets.
Yeah.
Let him enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well, folks, that does it for us. We appreciate everybody here on a Sunday evening jumping on with us to talk a little bit about the bowl game. Arkansas, again, going to the Liberty Bowl officially December 27th against Texas Tech. And we're going to have all the coverage of that, but also, of course, the transfer portal. That's going to be a big thing this week. So be sure to subscribe to us right here at Inside Arkansas. We're going to be on top of it, keeping you up to date on all the latest and greatest information on that. You can also check out our website at InsideArkansas.com and also follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. But for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. We'll see you on our Inside Arkansas live tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.